Deputy Speaker, and I must say the irony of standing up to talk on an MPI about bad decisions while made in government brought on by those opposite is certainly not lost on me today. Because, of course, so much of what our government is dealing with is a result of nearly a decade of bad decisions by those opposite. In the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison government, the times of drift, of denial and delay from those opposite. And yet they come in here today and bring on this MPI. Those people over there who spent nearly a decade in chaos, focused on each other and their own internal leadership problems, nearly a decade of climate denial, of inaction on one of the most pressing problems our country and indeed the world is facing. Nearly a decade where they did nothing to reduce cost of living pressures. Certainly, reducing cost of living pressures for Australians was not at all the focus of those over there when they were in government. And in fact, we can look at their record. We had, under the Turnbull government, their decision to support cuts to penalty rates to reduce the take-home pay of workers. We had the thought bubble around wanting to increase the pension age to 70 from those opposite, which, if that had have happened, that would have taken the Australian pension age to one of the highest in the developed world. We had, of course, the admission from those opposite when they were in government that low wages were, in fact, a deliberate design feature of the economy they ran. That's right. Under a Liberal national government, it was a design feature for Australians to earn less. And yet they come in here and talk about bad decisions from this government. This government, which is doing all it can, which is putting a laser-like focus on addressing the very real cost of living pressures that Australians are facing. And of course, today we have another topical area of neglect that we saw from those opposite. Their lack of support for women and the efforts to close the gender pay gap in this country. And as a result of the actions of our government, today we've seen for the first time the publication of gender pay gaps for nearly 5,000 private sector employers in this country. This is a pivotal step in transparency and accountability in addressing gender inequality. It wasn't done by those opposite. They were not interested in doing this work of helping Australian women to earn more, of helping Australian families to be supported because women in those families earned more. Those opposite did not care about that challenge when they were in government, and it seems they do not care about it now that they are in opposition. Because, of course, today we have Senator Canavan saying the gender pay gap report is useless data because it doesn't even correct for basic differences like hours worked. The gender pay gap report is now the annual Andrew Tate recruitment drive. It just breeds recruitment and division. That's the view of those opposite on the efforts to close the gender pay gap in this country. And I have not yet heard the Leader of the Opposition say that he does not agree with Senator Canavan on that. And that is incredibly disappointing because, again, Deputy Speaker, as I said, you know what helps Australian families with the cost of living? Australian women earning more, Australian women having more in their paychecks, and that is exactly what this government is trying to do. So under this government, Australian women are earning more. Wages are going up. Under this government, Australian women will get a tax cut. Every single Australian taxpayer is getting a tax cut under this government. And again, when we look at the industries that women work in, nurses, teachers, people earning $75,000 a year, those women, those people are getting a tax cut that's more than double what they would have got under those opposite. Those opposite didn't want people earning $45,000 or less to get a tax cut. People like sales assistants, receptionists. Our government is delivering them a tax cut. We are doing the work that those opposite failed to do with their bad decisions in their nearly a decade in government. We know that Australians do need cost of living relief, and we continue to focus on that through our tax cuts, our support for health, and, importantly, through our work to close the gender pay gap and to ensure that Australian women get to earn what they should and to keep more of what they earn.